Hi everyone, my name is King Ivy, and this is a custom idea workshop. And in this workshop, I'm going to show you how do you deal with a very difficult PDF file. And you do want to import it, but none of the columns are lining up. There are multiple pages. It would take you forever to do manual. So how do you do it in Idea? So let me show you the PDF file that I'm working with. So you'll see here, really doesn't look that bad here. Looks like a standard report type format. You'll see that this middle area is really these components, loan, the type of loan. You can see right here the details are aligned here. So you can see the description here. It contains the loan type, interest rate, amount, and as well the year. You can see it doesn't look that bad. But you can see here, these are opportunities where it can break. It looks really nasty and not very much fun. So how are we going to deal with this? So I'm going to get started. I'm going to show you how to do that in Idea. So here I've already created Idea project. In this case, I'm going to click on the import details. Oh, no. I'm going to click on PDF/report. And we'll give that a minute to open up. It's kind of a large PDF file with several pages. Okay, first thing we gotta do is define our different layers. So we're gonna create a standard layer here. And we could do a number of different things. Looks like there's no data in the first column. So we could do something as simple as doing trap for spaces. It looks like it worked. And then what we'll do here, instead of trying to define each column within this importer definition, which is going to be next to impossible to do, what we're going to do here is we're going to import it all at once. So I'm going to call this, details. And then we're going to save that layer. And next what we're going to do is define the customer ID, which you'll see here. So we're going to do this and create another standard layer. And then I'm gonna define my trap to be any like non-blank here in the first column. And then we're gonna go here and I'm gonna call this customer ID, and I'm gonna make that a character. And then as well, I'm gonna use values from the previous. And then we're gonna preview the database, and you're gonna see here as well, it filled in the blanks where there was none, where there were blanks there. Perfect. So it looks good to import. So we're going to import into Idea. And we're going to save the template as loan details. It's not a problem. We're going to call it loan details. We don't need generated statistics since there's nothing really to look at here at this point. You see it looks really messy. So how are we going to deal with that? So the first thing I want to do is I want to pull out this loan ID, which is this first set of numbers, first set of values. So here I'm going to create a new column. I'm going to call it loan ID. Looks like it's going to be a virtual character. Let's just make it 10 just to be safe. And then here, all we're going to do here is we are going to find, looks like when I look at the data, that we're going to use a function called split. So I'm just going to zoom in here and I'm going to say split, and I go alt trim this data first, details. And then what this is going to ask us is how we're going to split it. I'm going to say do the like no spaces there, and then do space there, and I want the first occurrence of that. So I want to find, this basically means at the beginning, and then find the first space and then give me the first section of that. Oh, okay. Oh, looks like it's details. Sorry. And then as well, we can evaluate and go down to, looks like it's working out pretty well. Perfect. So now we have loan ID. That looks good. Now let's pull out the loan type, which is this first section. And again, we're gonna use our splits. Let's call it 10. In this case, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go split on details again. In this case, I know that this description section where the student loan type starts with this quotation. So instead of actually just directly typing in quotation, what we're going to do here is I'm going to do char34. And what char34 is the ASCII equivalent, which is basically the numeric equivalent of double quotation. So I'm going to find the instance of that, and I want to find an instance of the comma. So find me an instance, and I want the first instance of that. So find me the double quotation, find me the comma, and find me the first instance in between those two. And then what we can do is we can evaluate, and we can see here it looks like it's working. And then we are going to go loan percentage, and actually I won't leave it as a, I'll put it as a character for now, since we're going to pull percent sign as well. So when I look here, okay, so what do we need to look for? It looks like the first comma occurs there, so that's promising. And then as well, it's in between a percent sign. Okay, so let's try that. So what we're going to do here is let's split this data, details. I'm going to find the comma, and I'm going to find the percent sign, and then I want the first instance of that. So let's take a look at that. Okay, it looks like it's carrying that extra space there, so let's all trim around here. Okay, it looks good. Okay, let's keep plugging away. Let's go down to loan amount, which is going to be the next area. This one looks like it's going to be a little bit tricky, but let's take a look. Okay, so this loan amount, what clues do we have? So we know that there's a percentage. Okay, that's good. We also know that there's commas after the amount, but we'll see that there's a comma in there. Okay, that makes it a little bit tricky. We'll see a comma. We could do a split based off of the percent sign and comma, which looks like it's pretty unique, and we could probably take advantage of that. And then, but what are we going to do to find the end of that area? So we can't use comma because it will, when the amount's more than 4 digits, there's a comma in the amount. So what we're going to have to do here, let's try a couple things. Let's go split details. Let's go percent sign, find an instance of that, and then find an instance. It looks like if the comma is after the amount, or the comma after the amount always has space there. So let's include a space there. Let's find what that looks like. Okay, that looks promising. And now what I want to do is I want to convert this into a value, or convert it to a number. So I'm going to use that value. Okay. Let me see here. I can probably go to, looks like it's only taking the first two characters and ignoring the comma. So it looks like I have to get rid of that comma. So let's use remove. On a space, let's remove the comma. There you go. Looks like it worked. So that was a little bit tricky one. Sometimes you have to find these patterns in order to actually be able to discover these things. So let's call next one user ID. I can't see the amounts, the description here. Let's call it user ID. Let's make it a virtual character. Let's make it 5. And then here, how are we gonna find this one? Okay, or oh, I guess we missed loan date. Okay, let's just go back and do loan date first. So how are we going to find loan date? Okay, so if I take a look here, so what we could do is it has some slashes in it, which is promising. Okay, that's going to be useful. Also looks like it has the double quotation as well, so could we take advantage of that potentially? So we could take advantage of when the quotation ends and then to the very end of the string, which would be just the double quotations, similar to like how we did at the beginning. So let me show you what that looks like. So we go split details, comma, at char 34, which is again the double quotation, do there, and then I want the second instance of that. So instead of being the first half, I want the second half. See what that looks like. Okay, that's better. Let's put an all trim around that. Sometimes it's good to break it down into different components, so you're getting closer and closer. So now I don't have to worry about all this beginning garbage. I can just worry about this first section. So then I could simply even just do something as simple as this. Take this whole amount right here, split it there, find where the first space is, give me the first section. Now I have the dates. Okay? Now if I, for example, want to, let's see here. Okay, let's convert it to a date. I'm not sure it's going to work with extra, we'll see. So it's in this format. Okay, it looks like it's airing out, and that's likely because it doesn't have that just a little bit worried whether or not it'd work if there wasn't two M's to, let's see here. Okay. What I can do is, okay. What I can do here is get fancy here and use a right function, and then put a 0 out in front, and then right before we convert it, just give me the last 8 characters, which is going to be these three, plus 2. So if it already has 8 characters, it's going to ignore the 0. But if it doesn't, then it's going to take advantage of the 0. That way I can leave it there, so it's more foolproof. So there you go. And then we are going to add in user ID, character here, and I'm going to go 5, which I can't see the amount. I can't see the details. Let's go here. So you'll see that user ID is the second last set of numbers. So a couple ways we could try to take advantage of that. Okay, so let's take a look here. Sometimes it's simpler just to take advantage of what we had before, just so we can see the details. So if we go here, similar to how we did the dates, and we did details char 34 at char 34 2. Now I'm just left with that component. Let's just all trim this. I know it's gonna look really long, but then when you actually take advantage of this evaluate, it actually allows you to see it a lot easier. And then what we can do here is, let's see here, we can then split it Okay, so we know that it's definitely going to start after the 8th character, because here the date can only be maximum 8 characters. So even if we did something like this, so, and then I did something like this, and then we did something like this. So I did the alt trim. I basically eliminated the, let me go do space, do the first section, and we should be left with just the user ID. So take a minute to look through that. It's kind of a complicated split. There's probably easier ways of doing it, but just off the top of my head, that looks like the easiest way of doing it. And then here, the approver ID is always going to be the last set of characters. So we can do here is something as simple as this. So really, this is just a pattern recognition game. So here, I'm going to try to simplify it. I'm going to go alt trim around this details, and then we're going to go right, comma 2, and then I'm just going to throw an alt trim around there so we can clean it up. You'll see here, now we have the approver ID. Okay, and then what we're simply going to do next is we are going to then do a direct extract, and I'm going to find everywhere where is blank customer ID equals 0, which means that's not blank. And then as well, I'm going to exclude this details column, and I'm going to call this loan details filtered. Okay, there's a couple areas where it's still giving it errors, but regardless, it looks like it worked pretty well. Obviously, you can open up the raw data, take a look, see if it captured the details correctly. Look like it does. So let's see here. One 9 student ID 6%. Yep, 15,338. Good. Okay, let's do something more difficult. Let's do loan site, find loan 503. Okay, that should belong to 273. It's a payday loan, 11%, 559. Dated April 20th, 2011. Approver, boom. Okay, looks like it worked. So I know there's a little bit of a complicated import, but this is important to know because not all your PDF files are going to be in ideal state, and it's just going to allow you to be able to use these powerful tools in more situations if you're able to deal with and troubleshoot with these types of data sets. So hopefully you learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I look forward to speaking to you next time. Thank you.